Hey y'all, sorry, but we've got to go back to shooting one or two of these videos on the bed until I can get my table back from my comic books. So here is an initial assessment video for a book called No Place, with writing by Tim Seeley and art by Stefano Simeone. Here we have Mariposa, who looks like she just works in a diner. If I can turn the page, it doesn't look good for the home team. She just kind of works in a diner, but she used to have fantastical adventures. Okay, think Wizard of Oz, The Jungle Book. She would travel to worlds like that, and she traveled to a world called Mayahula. And during that, she got to meet all of these fantastical creatures that you just wouldn't believe, just like this creature here, who has breached an interdimensional doorway. But then she meets, let's see, she meets this fella here, whose name I cannot remember, but she ends up going with him to this place. And she's not really sure where she's going. It kind of reminds me of, with the fantastic elements, it's very much like the Autumn Kingdom or the Seasons, where you have these characters who are almost, it almost feels like they're in the world of Little Nemo. It's worlds that, kids back then had so much imagination because they didn't have all of these different things jumping out at them. They hardly had radio, but they didn't have 24/7 electricity a lot of times. They didn't have iPhones, iPads, smart TVs, YouTube. They didn't have all these things to take them away from creating these worlds that just lived. I mean, they were so much more realistic and so much more heavy than it seems like the worlds that we tend to create now. It's like your mother told you when you were a child it was okay to play and have imaginary friends and go to these imaginary places when you were 3. But by the time that you were 23, you were expected to join the real world and go to work and provide for yourself, provide for your family, provide for your spouse. You weren't allowed to really live in those worlds anymore. And so she gets to meet the director of this particular group. Like I said, it's almost like the Department of Truth, where you have this hidden underground set of people that are running things behind the scenes. But instead of running things, they're protecting, for lack of a better term, this is not a Marvel book, but for lack of a better term, they're living in alternate universes, but they're protecting the 616 Marvel universe. Okay? So she goes and meets the leader, who is a famous literary character all of her own. And she says, you're special. You're not the same as everybody else. You have brought the chance to protect other worlds. Unfortunately, Mayahula is no longer. But you can be the one to champion other worlds just like that. You can protect them. You can keep them from being destroyed. And she says, no, I don't think so. I'm good. I've seen so many things. I plucked a feather from Rias, the air diver's left wing. I flew on his back to the sullen moon. I traded a kiss on Brother Boar's cheek for the key of the Earth Forgers. I fought the Jalabeeds and shut down the anthracite before it could burn down the souls of the world. The grandmother of the jungle children told tales about me. The ancestor spirits filled the hearts of trees and made them grow into wooden statues of me that were 100 feet tall. So that's what I'm talking about, is a lot of people, and especially not somebody who's been, around the block as many times as Tim Seeley. A lot of people can't create those sorts of things. Rick Remender is one of the few people that I know that can create something so majestic and so heartfelt at the same time. So that's why I give credit to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby for creating Galactus and the Silver Surfer, because you get to see something that is so cosmic and epic, and at the same time there's so much humanity to the Surfer, if not in Galactus. So anyway, she turns this group down, and then she ends up returning home to a surprise. And that surprise is a character that we have already seen before. But that character says, you have a destiny and you need to meet that destiny. This book is excellent. It's really, really good. So I'm glad that I picked up on a whim. The artwork by Stefano Simeone, who did artwork on Radiant Black previously, is just top notch. It makes each one of the characters shine. It gives them room to breathe. And these fantastic worlds that you see, these other worlds, then they get a chance to be shown as so much more than just ideas in somebody's head. You get the idea that these places are real and that there is weight and substance to them. So in this initial assessment, I absolutely say that no place should be on your list of medications. And if you love adventure, I couldn't get into Lost Fantasy. I tried for the first 3 issues and it just wasn't for me. But No Place seems like it's a little more grounded. I think Lost Fantasy was a little bit too far out there for me because I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, never cared really much for Final Fantasy except for Final Fantasy X. But here, like I said, it's a little more grounded. So if you like that, I think you're absolutely gonna love No Place from Ignition Press. And let's see if it's got, yes it does. At the very bottom, it's got a code that you can put in at Ignition Press, and you can get some extra goodies. So thanks for watching this, guys. Hope you had a wonderful, restful weekend, and I've got some more awesome content coming for you tomorrow.